Have you ever felt like something invisible was weighing you down, but you couldn't explain it? Like no matter how hard you try, something's always pulling you back into the same darkness, over and over again? You wake up tired. You lose interest in the things that once gave you joy. You sense tension in the air even when no one says a word. And deep down you start to wonder, is this just life, or is something working against me? Most people ignore that feeling. They write it off as stress, bad luck, or coincidence. But what if it's not? What if your instincts are trying to tell you that something deeper, something unseen, is targeting your energy, your peace, and your future? This isn't about superstition. It's not about fear. This is about waking up to a truth most people are too afraid to face. Sometimes, what you're feeling is real. Sometimes someone is sending you energy that's meant to break you. There is a war going on around you, and most of it is silent. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with warning signs. It shows up in the cracks of your life, in broken relationships, lost motivation, health issues, confusion, and fatigue. It creeps in slowly, until you start doubting yourself, until you forget who you were before all this heaviness began. And unless you become aware of it, you keep living in survival mode, trying to fix things that were never broken, just spiritually hijacked. But the truth is, you are not weak. You are not cursed. You are not imagining this. You are being called to wake up, to recognize that not all attacks are physical. Some are emotional, some are energetic, some are spiritual. And the only way to win a war you can't see is to sharpen the weapon no one can take from you, your awareness. When you understand what's really happening, you stop blaming yourself for what isn't your fault. You stop feeling powerless in situations that were never about your failure. They were about someone else's fear of your light. And that's why this matters. Because when you see the signs, when you learn what to look for, you take back control. You stop being a victim of energy you didn't choose, and you become the one who decides what enters your mind, your body, and your spirit. Stay with this message, because by the end, you won't just understand if someone is doing witchcraft on you. You'll know how to stand up to it. You'll be armed with the clarity, the strength, and the inner power to protect yourself, to rise above it, and to walk through life untouched by the darkness that once tried to drown you. This is about reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your destiny. And it begins the moment you choose to see what others pretend isn't real. If someone wanted to control you without touching you, without speaking a word, how would they do it? They'd attack your energy. They'd distort your emotions. They'd disrupt your clarity. They'd twist the atmosphere around you so subtly that even your own mind would start to betray you. That's the essence of witchcraft. Not the dramatic rituals you see in stories, but the quiet manipulation of intention, focused energy meant to cause confusion, fear, and collapse. And when you understand this, you stop looking for spells and start recognizing patterns. Witchcraft isn't always candles and symbols. Sometimes, it's a stare filled with jealousy, a prayer twisted by bitterness, a word spoken behind your back with the full force of resentment. It's a vibration, an unseen arrow, directed at your spirit with the intent to pull you off course. This isn't fantasy. This is energy. And energy doesn't lie. You've felt it before. Walking into a room and sensing tension without a word spoken. Meeting someone and instantly feeling drained. Losing momentum in your life with no logical reason. These are not random. They are signals. Alarms going off within your nervous system, begging you to notice what your eyes can't see. The people who send this energy often wear masks. They smile at you. They celebrate you publicly. But in their hearts, they are unsettled by your light. Not everyone wants to see you rise. Not everyone is neutral. And the sooner you stop pretending that all energy is kind, the faster you regain your personal power. Because awareness is the first shield. When you become conscious of the ways energy moves, when you understand that not all heaviness is yours, you stop carrying burdens that were never meant for you. You don't need to fear witchcraft. You need to understand it. You need to respect its reality, not to worship it, but to learn how to walk through the fire untouched. No one can dominate a spirit that refuses to be owned. No one can hijack the mind of someone who knows how to center their thoughts. No one can drain the energy of a soul that knows how to protect its light. This is about mastery, not superstition. It's about reclaiming your spiritual authority, not to fight darkness with more darkness, but to rise so powerfully in your truth that nothing beneath your level can reach you. You have more control than you think. Your breath is power. Your focus is fire. Your presence is a shield when you learn how to stand inside it. The more you awaken, the less influence they have. The more you clean your energy, the harder it is for anything toxic to find a home in you. What once broke you will now serve as your awakening, and those who once tried to control your destiny will soon realize they were never in control to begin with. You are. And now, it's time to remember. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, a drain on your spirit that no amount of rest can repair. You wake up more tired than when you went to bed. Your body feels heavy, your motivation disappears, and even the simplest tasks feel impossible. This isn't just fatigue, it's an energetic leak. And if you're constantly giving but never replenishing, constantly pushing but getting nowhere, that's not just life being hard, that's interference. That's someone tapping into your energy without your permission. When someone is doing witchcraft against you, one of the first things they aim for is your vitality. Because if they can weaken your energy, they can break your focus. And once your focus is gone, your purpose begins to slip through your fingers. You start questioning yourself, doubting your decisions, and wondering why everything feels 10 times harder than it should. That confusion, that collapse of will, is often the real intention behind the attack. They don't need to destroy you. They just need you to give up. You feel it in your body first, the sudden tiredness, the fog in your mind, the sense that you're carrying a weight you can't see. You might start to think you're lazy or undisciplined, but deep inside, a part of you knows the truth. You weren't always like this. There was a time you felt stronger, more alive, more connected. That version of you still exists. It hasn't disappeared. It's been buried beneath layers of unseen interference that you now have the power to remove. Energy is currency, and right now someone may be spending yours without your consent. They might not even be near you physically. But distance means nothing when intention is strong. You don't need to see them to feel their presence. You don't need to hear their words to be impacted by their wishes. But here's what they don't want you to realize. Your awareness is the beginning of their defeat. Because when you know what's happening, you can stop feeding it. You don't have to accept tiredness as your new normal. You don't have to carry invisible weight just because you can't explain it logically. Your spirit knows what your mind hasn't caught up to yet. You were never meant to live drained. You were meant to live lit up from the inside. Alive, clear, powerful. And you get there by reclaiming what's yours, your energy, your focus, your breath, your presence. You don't fight spiritual attacks by begging for peace. You rise above them by commanding your space and refusing to dim. Let this be your reminder. No one can keep draining you without your unconscious permission. And now, you're conscious. Now, you're aware. Now, you choose to take your power back. The heaviness you've been carrying ends the moment you decide it's not yours. Stand in your light. Call back your energy. And remember, what was sent to break you will bow before the strength it accidentally awakened. Something went wrong while generating the response. If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at help.openai.com. When your nights stop bringing peace, pay attention. When your sleep becomes a battlefield of shadows, you're not just having bad dreams. Something is trying to reach you where your defenses are lowest. The spiritual realm speaks loudest when the physical body is still. And if someone is projecting dark energy toward you, one of the clearest signs is what happens behind closed eyes. Restless nights, sudden waking, choking fear, the feeling of being watched, dreams that leave you shaken. These are not coincidences, they are warnings. Your subconscious knows what your conscious mind tries to ignore. When you're asleep, your inner guard lets go. And that's when spiritual attacks often strike, not with fire and sound, but with subtle fear, with images that don't belong to you, with weight on your chest, the inability to move, or the sense that something has entered your space. Most people brush it off. They say it's just stress, just nightmares, just random. But your spirit doesn't lie, and neither do the patterns that keep repeating. Sleep paralysis, night terrors, visions that follow you into the day. These are more than dreams. They are echoes of interference. Spiritual warfare isn't always loud. Sometimes it creeps in through silence. And when your peace is stolen night after night, your waking life begins to suffer. You walk through the day exhausted, disconnected, uncertain, because you were fighting all night and didn't even know it. Your energy is being pulled in battles you didn't consent to, and your body is the one paying the price. But you are not defenseless. You are not broken. You are not weak. What you're experiencing is not a sign of defeat. It's a sign of sensitivity. And sensitivity is not a weakness. It's a weapon when you learn how to use it. You are tuned into something most people never notice. You feel the shifts. You sense the intrusions. That means you're already halfway to reclaiming your ground. Because what you can feel, you can heal. And what you acknowledge, you can protect. Your rest is sacred. Your dreams are gateways. And your spirit deserves peace. You do not have to accept fear as part of your sleep. You do not have to lay still while darkness walks freely. You can take your nights back. through clarity, through intention, through power. Your energy belongs to you, and your sleep is not a battlefield. It's a sanctuary. Start protecting it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. When your nights become sacred again, your days transform, clarity returns, energy rises, focus sharpens, and the fear that once controlled you begins to lose its grip. You become untouchable, not because nothing tries to reach you, but because nothing can stay. What used to shake you now strengthens you, and every night becomes a reminder that your spirit is no longer available for invasion. You are protected, you are powerful, and you are no longer asleep to the war being waged on your peace. When the same doors keep closing, when progress slips through your hands again and again, it's not always bad timing. It could be spiritual interference. Setbacks are part of life, but when they come in patterns too precise to be random, you must pay attention. Every effort falls apart. Every opportunity gets delayed. Every step forward is followed by 2 steps back. It's like something invisible is pushing against your progress, resisting your rise, choking your momentum. That's not normal misfortune. That's spiritual sabotage. When someone sends dark energy your way, their goal is not just to hurt you, it's to halt you, to make you doubt your vision, to trick you into believing that failure is your identity. They don't need to destroy your life if they can convince you that you're cursed. That's how witchcraft works. It weaves despair into your daily experience. It turns delay into defeat and struggle into shame. You start believing you're not good enough. You stop dreaming. You settle for less. And just like that, the energy they sent begins to take root, not in your life, but in your mind. This is why self-awareness is power. Because when you start recognizing the difference between natural challenges and spiritual interference, you stop internalizing failure. You stop blaming yourself for storms that weren't created by your actions. You stop carrying shame that never belonged to you. You begin to see that the resistance around you is not a reflection of your worth, it's a reaction to your purpose. The brighter your light, the more violently some will try to block it. But nothing external can stop a soul that refuses to fold. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are being tested in ways that reveal your strength, not your limits. The very setbacks that feel like punishment may actually be proof that your energy is powerful enough to intimidate those who can't control it. And that truth should ignite something deep inside you, because it means you are never losing. You are being challenged to rise higher, to sharpen your awareness, to protect your vision, like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your purpose is not small, and that's why it's under attack. But pressure doesn't break diamonds. It reveals them. The more resistance you feel, the more certain you can be that you're on a path that matters. Let that truth carry you. Let it push you past fear, past discouragement, past the illusions meant to stop you. You are not here to live trapped by energy that isn't yours. You are here to rise, to reclaim, to break every pattern that tried to bind you. Stand tall in the storm. The very force trying to delay you is confirming your power. Let every closed door strengthen your determination. Let every setback sharpen your will. You are not cursed. You are chosen. And what's meant for you will rise the moment you stop shrinking to fit the limits others tried to place on your path. When your world begins to feel colder, when the people you once loved suddenly grow distant, when connections fall silent without reason, it's easy to think something is wrong with you. You start replaying conversations in your mind, trying to find what you did wrong. You question yourself. You wonder why the energy shifted, why the people who once stood by you now seem unreachable. But this isn't always the result of conflict or miscommunication. Sometimes it's spiritual manipulation designed to isolate you. Witchcraft often aims to cut you off, not just from people, but from support, love, and strength. Because when you are surrounded by encouragement, you're harder to control. When you're connected, you're empowered. So one of the most subtle and dangerous signs of a spiritual attack is sudden disconnection. Friends who stop calling, family members who grow cold. The warmth of relationships turns to silence. But what you're feeling isn't just rejection, it's interference. Energy moves through relationships. When someone sends dark energy your way, they often send confusion into your circle. Misunderstandings begin to appear from nowhere. People misinterpret your words, twist your intentions, and pull away, not because of who you are, but because of what's been projected onto you. Spiritual attacks often aim to distort how others see you and how you see yourself. You're not losing people because you've changed. You're losing people because the light in you exposes the darkness in them, or triggers fear planted by someone else's intentions. The goal is isolation, to make you feel alone, to separate you from the very relationships that remind you of your power. Because when you're isolated, you become easier to influence. easier to discourage, easier to control. But what they don't expect is that your solitude can become your sanctuary. They don't expect that when you're alone, you begin to hear your own voice again. You begin to remember your truth, and in that quiet, you awaken to who you really are. You are not alone because you are unworthy. You are alone because the energy trying to destroy you is afraid of what happens when you're fully supported. And sometimes, the universe will allow separation to protect your path. Some relationships are being removed because they can't go where you're headed. Some people are stepping back because they were never meant to stay. And the space they leave behind, it becomes sacred ground for your healing, your clarity, your rise. Let the silence teach you. Let the disconnection sharpen you. Let every absence become proof of your strength, not your failure. You are not broken. You are being cleared. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. And the people who are truly aligned with your soul will never be moved by energy that wasn't theirs to begin with. Reclaim your space. Rebuild your peace. And remember, no force in this world can separate you from what is divinely yours. Not even witchcraft. Not even fear. Not even isolation. When your body starts speaking a language your mind doesn't understand, listen. The aches with no medical explanation. The tension that won't release. The sudden nausea. The headaches that show up like clockwork. These aren't just physical issues. They're spiritual messages. Your body is a mirror for your energy, and when something dark tries to attach itself to your field, your body is the first to respond. Not with words, but with signals. Pain, fatigue, restlessness. It's how your spirit warns you that something is off. You know the difference between normal discomfort and the kind of pain that feels foreign, the kind that doesn't make sense. You've felt it. The sharp tightness in your chest when you walk into a certain space. The heavy pressure on your shoulders when you think about someone. The strange feeling in your gut that something just isn't right. That isn't weakness. That's awareness. Your intuition isn't abstract. It speaks through your body. And when someone is sending dark energy your way, your body often catches it before your mind does. Witchcraft isn't always about rituals. Sometimes it's just focused hate, obsessive thoughts, repeated intention for your downfall. And that energy travels. It hits your field like a virus and starts to manifest physically. You feel it as fatigue that won't break, as inflammation with no cause, as sickness that evades diagnosis. The body is trying to push the energy out, but the source keeps feeding it. If you only treat the symptoms and ignore the energy, the cycle continues. This is why deep healing begins with deep listening. You must learn to listen not just to what your body says, but why it's saying it. Who entered your space before the symptoms started? What environment triggers your anxiety? What memory does your pain attach itself to? When you begin to connect these dots, you stop treating your suffering like a mystery. You start honoring your body as a compass. You start realizing that your healing is not just physical, it's energetic. And you reclaim that power through intention, through grounding, through energetic cleansing that aligns your body, mind, and spirit. You stop giving others the power to live rent-free in your body. You stop allowing their projections to settle in your cells. You become deliberate about who you let touch your energy, because your health is sacred. Your body is not just flesh, it's protection, it's wisdom, it's memory, and it holds the truth even when your mind forgets. Do not dismiss what your body knows. Do not silence its cries. When your energy is under attack, your body becomes the front line. And the moment you begin to honor it as more than a machine, as a sacred shield, you begin to take your healing into your own hands. You were never powerless. You were just disconnected. And now, every breath, every step, every heartbeat becomes a declaration. This body is mine. This energy is mine. And no force can claim what I now protect. Not every thought in your mind belongs to you. Not every voice you hear in your head is your own. There are times when intrusive thoughts feel louder than your inner truth. Thoughts of fear, worthlessness, self-doubt, and despair. They come suddenly. They repeat endlessly. And they never lead to growth. They only spiral you into helplessness. This is not coincidence. It's not just anxiety. It can be a direct result of spiritual interference. Because when someone targets your energy, one of their primary aims is your mind. Your mind is the control center of your life. What takes root there grows. So if they can get inside your thoughts, they can hijack your direction. They can distort your vision. They can make you question your purpose, sabotage your relationships, and abandon your path. You may think you're the one thinking those thoughts, but deep down, something feels foreign. It feels invasive. It doesn't align with who you know you are. That's the clue. That's the sign. That's your inner self whispering, "This isn't me." Witchcraft, in its rawest form, is the manipulation of energy through focused intention, and thoughts carry the most potent energy. If someone is obsessing over you with anger, envy, or control, their energy seeks an entry point. And if your mind is unguarded, it becomes a landing place for those projections. They show up as doubt when you were once confident, as sadness when there's nothing wrong, as confusion in places you once felt clear. This is how they try to rewire you from the inside out, quietly, subtly, and destructively. But awareness is the beginning of freedom. The moment you realize that not every thought is yours, you take back control. You stop entertaining what feels out of alignment. You stop engaging with mental loops that drain you. You stop letting foreign energy dictate your emotional state. Your mind is sacred ground, and only thoughts rooted in truth, power, and purpose deserve space there. This is where spiritual discipline becomes vital. Cleansing your mind daily, grounding your energy, refusing to attach to any thought that tears you down. You do not argue with the darkness, you outgrow it. You do not negotiate with doubt, you silence it with action. You do not beg for peace, you build it, one conscious choice at a time. You become so rooted in who you are that no external energy can take root in you. You are not losing your mind. You are waking up to how powerful it truly is. The voices trying to control you can only survive in your silence. The moment you speak your truth, the moment you think with intention, the spell breaks. You remember your power, you remember your worth, and no force, no thought, no energy can override a mind that knows who it is. This is your return to mental sovereignty, and from this point forward, your thoughts are no longer battlegrounds. They are weapons of light, forged in clarity, and guided by truth. Your space holds your energy. Every corner, every object, every item in your environment is either feeding your spirit or draining it. When spiritual interference enters your life, it often hides in plain sight, not just in people or thoughts, but in physical things, gifts, trinkets, decorations, items left behind. You may not realize it, but objects can carry intention. They can be charged with energy, and when someone sends dark energy toward you, they may use something physical as a doorway. Not everything in your space belongs there. You've felt it before. That shift in the atmosphere when you walk into a room. That discomfort around an item you can't explain. That strange resistance in your own home that wasn't there before. Those aren't just feelings. They're alerts. Warnings from your inner compass. You don't have to understand the why to trust the what. If something feels off, it probably is. Your environment reflects your inner world, and when something foreign enters your sacred space, your spirit knows, even if your mind hasn't caught up yet. Witchcraft often uses physical anchors because energy sticks to form. That bracelet someone gave you with a strange heaviness. That item you found and kept without knowing where it came from. That gift that arrived just before your life started spiraling. When dark intention is embedded into a physical object, it can act like a parasite, constantly leaking energy into your space, subtly influencing your mood, your clarity, and your direction. And until you recognize it, cleanse it, or remove it, it keeps working against you. This is not superstition. This is spiritual responsibility. You are not meant to live in a space that drains you. You are not meant to carry objects that disturb your peace. You are not meant to ignore your intuition for the sake of politeness or attachment. You are meant to guard your energy with discernment, to walk through your space with authority, to choose what stays and what goes, based on how it aligns with your soul, not its appearance, not its cost, not who gave it to you. Everything you allow into your environment should serve your healing, your growth, and your protection. If it doesn't, it has no place in your life. Begin to observe your surroundings with spiritual eyes. Feel the vibration of what surrounds you. Notice what brings you peace and what stirs your discomfort. Trust your senses. Your space is a reflection of your sovereignty, and if something was placed in it with the intention to harm, you have every right, every duty to remove it. Cleanse your space not just with sage or salt, but with intention, with clarity, with refusal. Let your presence command the room. Let your energy set the tone. You are not a passive receiver of what enters your life. You are the gatekeeper, the protector, and every object, every corner, every breath of air in your environment should answer to your power, not someone else's darkness. Stand in that truth, live in that strength, and watch the energy around you obey your authority. Envy is silent poison. It doesn't always speak, but it stares, it lingers, it studies, it waits. When someone envies your light, your peace, your growth, they often won't attack you with words, they attack you with energy, with intention, with thoughts sharpened by resentment. And if you're not grounded, that energy finds cracks to slip through. What begins as a glance becomes a seed. What begins as jealousy becomes projection. And what begins as subtle resentment can grow into deliberate harm. Spiritual, emotional, energetic. Not everyone who claps for you is clapping with a clean heart. Some people celebrate your wins with tight smiles and clenched fists. Some praise your glow while praying for your fall. And the danger isn't in their words, it's in the energy behind them. That energy can manifest as sabotage, as betrayal, as spiritual attacks disguised as concern. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your success confronts their insecurity. Your peace exposes their chaos, and your power reminds them of their own avoidance. So instead of doing the work, they target the one who did. You must stop assuming every connection is safe just because it's familiar. Start listening to how you feel after you share your joy with someone. Notice who withdraws when you shine. Notice who only shows up when you're in pain. These are not small things. These are clues. When someone's energy is rooted in jealousy, they may begin to weaponize it, consciously or not. And if you allow those vibrations too close, they start to bleed into your spirit. Witchcraft doesn't always look like rituals and curses. Sometimes it looks like obsession masked as admiration. Sometimes it looks like conversations behind your back, laced with bitterness. Sometimes it looks like people who won't let go of your name, even when you've walked away. That fixation, that spiritual tether, becomes a cord, and cords carry energy. Some people send you thoughts daily, hoping you stumble. And if you're not fortified, you start to feel it. You start to slow down. You start to question yourself. You don't even realize it's not your doubt. It's theirs clinging to you. This is why spiritual hygiene is not optional. You must guard your energy as if your life depends on it, because it does. You can forgive people without allowing their energy to remain in your field. You can love from a distance and still sever the cord. You can be compassionate and still cut spiritual ties that were never healthy. You owe no one access to your mind, your emotions, or your future if their energy seeks to harm or control. Let their envy choke on your evolution. Let their darkness dissolve in the face of your discipline. You don't need to retaliate. You need to rise. When your energy becomes so pure, so protected, so untouchable, nothing sent to break you can find its way in. That is your power. And no one filled with envy can destroy what was built in light. Some energies don't come to bless, they come to bind, they come to block. They come to confuse your path, not by force, but by subtle spiritual interference. You start losing clarity. You start doubting your instincts. The things you once moved toward with confidence now feel foggy, heavy, uncertain. You don't even realize you've been spiritually tangled. Not by coincidence, but by intention. Someone has been planting confusion into your field, hoping you second-guess your power, your progress, your plans. Energy attacks don't always scream, they whisper. They show up as mental exhaustion that doesn't match your output, as persistent fogginess, as a heaviness that clings to your chest even on your best days, as a tightness in your spirit when you try to move forward. You start asking, what's wrong with me? But that's the trap. The moment you internalize what was never yours, it begins to take root. Spiritual confusion is a tactic. Disorient your mind long enough, and you start walking in circles. You stop trusting your intuition. You become vulnerable not because you're weak, but because you're unaware of what's happening. You are not meant to carry foreign energy. You are not meant to house projections, envy, curses, or spiritual interference. Your vessel was designed for clarity, for movement, for divine alignment. But when your boundaries aren't fortified, anything can enter, and not everything that enters has your healing in mind. This is why discernment is more powerful than defense, because when you discern the source, you cut off the access, you take your power back before it even needs defending. Confusion is a weapon, one of the most effective, because when someone can't destroy your outer world, they target your inner world. If they can't stop you physically, they try to stop you mentally. If they can't block your blessings, they try to block your belief in them. And when you start doubting your own path, the mission is complete. You slow down. You hesitate. You retreat, not because of failure, but because of spiritual manipulation. You begin to feel stuck, lost, disconnected from the truth of who you are. But confusion has no place where alignment lives. And alignment begins with clarity, with the decision to no longer entertain energy that doesn't feel clean, with the awareness that not every delay is circumstantial. Some delays are spiritual. Some detours are caused by people who resent the fact that you've found direction, and their only weapon is to cloud yours, to make you forget, to make you question, to make you pause your growth long enough for them to feel comfortable again. You do not owe anyone the comfort of your confusion. You do not owe your destiny to their emotional satisfaction. Clear your space, clear your spirit, cleanse your energy. Every time you remove what doesn't belong, your clarity sharpens, your path straightens, your peace returns, and the chains of confusion begin to dissolve. You were never lost, you were under attack, and now you are awake. What if the heaviness you've been feeling isn't yours? What if it was never meant for you to carry in the first place? When someone sends spiritual interference your way, it often arrives wrapped in emotions that don't belong to you. Anxiety that spikes without reason, sadness that clings without cause, anger that simmers just beneath the surface, and you begin to wear these feelings like they're your own. But they're not. They are planted, projected, designed to weaken your spiritual core so you forget who you are. You are not meant to be a dumping ground for other people's darkness. You are not meant to absorb every energy that touches your space. Just because someone smiles in your face doesn't mean they wish you well behind closed doors. Just because someone claps for you in public doesn't mean they're not cursing your name in private. Spiritual warfare is real, and it often looks like confusion, exhaustion, stagnation. It looks like progress being delayed for no reason. It looks like opportunities drying up out of nowhere. You think it's a coincidence. You think it's bad luck. But sometimes it's spiritual sabotage. You must be ruthless when it comes to protecting your energy. Not paranoid, not fearful, just wise. Your peace is too valuable to allow silent attacks to drain it. You are not here to please everyone. You are not here to shrink so others feel less threatened. You are here to rise, to stand in your calling with clarity, and if your light offends them, so be it. Let them choke on the brightness of your becoming. When your soul feels off, but you can't explain it, that's not your imagination. That's your intuition whispering. Pay attention. When people randomly enter your mind with no reason or trigger, it's not random. Energy moves faster than words. Someone may be thinking of you, wishing on you, pulling on your spirit with intentions you cannot see, but you can feel. This is why spiritual hygiene isn't optional. Just like your body needs a shower, your spirit needs cleansing. Detach, release, cut cords. Speak life over your path and declare that no energy formed against you shall prosper. You are more powerful than the energy sent to destroy you. The moment you stop accepting everything as normal and start questioning where your emotions are coming from, everything shifts. You start reclaiming your inner space. You start identifying what's not yours and sending it back. You stop carrying emotions that were never meant for you. That's when your clarity returns. Your focus sharpens. Your strength reawakens. This is not the time to be passive with your energy. You don't need to understand every attack to block it. You only need to trust your spirit when it speaks. Your inner knowing is not broken. It's been buried under other people's projections. Clear it. Uncover it. Stand up for your energy. This is your power, and it's time to take it back. Not everything that enters your life is meant to stay. Not every emotion you feel belongs to you. Not every connection is pure. Some people are only in your orbit to feed off your light. They don't come to build with you, they come to drain you. They mask their envy and concern, their curses and compliments, their manipulation and loyalty. But your soul knows the truth. Your body tightens when they speak. Your energy dips when they arrive. Your peace disappears when they're around. That is not love. That is spiritual interference, and you are not here to entertain it. The power to remove yourself from what weakens you is the greatest act of self-respect. You cannot expect to thrive in the same space that's suffocating your spirit. Stop pretending you're okay with what's draining you. Stop tolerating people who celebrate your weakness and mock your strength. You were not created to live under spiritual attack. You were made to walk in spiritual authority. And that authority starts with awareness. You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. You cannot rise while remaining loyal to your oppressors. It's time to recognize the patterns, cut the ties, and reclaim your atmosphere. When witchcraft is working against you, it doesn't always look like rituals or chants. Sometimes, it's simply someone obsessively speaking negativity into your life, focusing hate and jealousy toward your name with persistence. Thoughts are energy. Words are spells. Intentions carry weight. And if you're not careful, you start living in the vibration they've placed on you. You start shrinking, doubting, questioning your worth. You begin to sabotage your own success without realizing that none of those thoughts were even yours to begin with. They were planted, repeated, soaked into your mind like poison disguised as truth. But you are not powerless. You are not defenseless. You are not a victim of silent attacks. You have spiritual authority. You have the right to command your space, to speak protection over your life, to block every intention that does not align with your elevation. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. You don't need their approval to shine. What you need is to stop absorbing and start discerning. Every shift in your mood matters. Every disruption in your peace is a signal. Every moment of exhaustion without explanation deserves your attention. You are not crazy, you are not weak, you are spiritually aware, and now you must act like it. This is the moment where everything changes, where you stop begging for clarity and start standing in it, where you stop waiting for people to treat you right and start removing the ones who don't, where you stop defending your light and start protecting it. You are no longer available for energy that confuses your spirit. You are no longer entertaining people who feed on your doubt. This is your territory, your soul, your destiny. Guard it with fire, stand in your power, and let every force working against you know it cannot win. You can feel it when something dark tries to linger. That heaviness in your chest, the anxiety with no origin, the sleepless nights where your spirit won't rest. These are not coincidences. Your soul is sensitive because you were born with a higher calling. Your energy is rare, your presence is powerful, and that kind of light always attracts attention, both divine and destructive. You're not just fighting your own doubts. Sometimes, you're resisting thoughts that were never yours to begin with. Thoughts seeded by people who smiled in your face, but wished for your failure behind your back. Spirits that saw your purpose before you did, and aimed to silence it before you even understood it. But your awareness is your armor now. You are awake. You are done being naive. There is no honor in staying connected to what corrupts your peace. There is no loyalty owed to energy that poisons your growth. You have given enough chances, tolerated enough confusion, and carried enough weight that was never meant to be yours. You don't need another sign. The shift you feel is the call to rise. It's not paranoia. It's perception. It's spiritual intelligence. And it's time to trust it more than the voices telling you to calm down, let it go, or be the bigger person. You were not created to be quiet in the face of oppression. You were not born to fold under invisible pressure. You were created to resist darkness, rise in power, and walk in truth no matter who gets uncomfortable. This is your reclamation. The taking back of every part of you that you gave away out of guilt, fear, or habit. The remembering of how sacred your mind is, how irreplaceable your energy is, how protected your journey is. You do not exist to be liked. You are not here to make everyone comfortable. You are here to honor your soul above their opinions. You are here to protect your mission at all costs. And if that means being misunderstood, judged, or even abandoned, so be it. Peace is too expensive to trade for approval. Power is too rare to surrender for convenience. The price of keeping fake peace is far higher than the cost of standing alone in real alignment. Silence is no longer your strategy. Shrinking is no longer your habit. You are rising now, not for applause, not for validation, but because your soul demands it. Every moment you choose yourself, you weaken the grip of anything that tried to own you. Every breath you take with intention, every decision you make with clarity, builds spiritual immunity. This is the kind of power no curse can touch. This is the kind of light no darkness can hold. And now that you've remembered who you are, there's no going back. You've already crossed the threshold. You've already broken the illusion. You are no longer who they tried to manipulate. You are exactly who you were born to be, undeniable, unshakable, unstoppable. You didn't come this far just to return to the version of you that tolerated the bare minimum. You didn't survive the betrayal, the breakdowns, the silent battles, only to bow again to what once broke you. Every wound you've endured wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. You were being forged in the fire for the battles only the strong are trusted to fight. Your resilience wasn't built in comfort. It was built in moments of silence when you chose not to give up. In nights of anguish when you still whispered, "I will not break." And you didn't. That matters. That counts. That speaks louder than any doubt in your head. There is a reason your presence disturbs the energy of those who operate in darkness. You mirror their absence of integrity. You make them question the masks they wear. That's why they try to minimize you, discredit you, shame you into silence. But you're not for their approval. You never were. You're here to disturb false peace, to break the cycle, to bring light into the spaces that have forgotten what truth feels like. And when your energy is pure, it will always challenge those whose motives are not. Don't apologize for that. Don't shrink just because your strength makes the insecure feel exposed. There is nothing selfish about protecting your spirit. There is nothing wrong with choosing peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, truth over manipulation. You owe no one an explanation for choosing your well-being. That is your birthright. That is your sacred duty. Because when you protect your energy, you protect your purpose. When you honor your limits, you make room for your calling. And when you cut ties with what drains you, you free yourself to rise into what empowers you. You weren't born to carry everyone. You were born to align with what aligns with you. Let them misjudge you. Let them talk. Let them project. The opinions of those who don't know your battle can't define your worth. Your truth is not up for debate, and no one who is sent to destroy your peace deserves a seat at the table of your future. What's ahead of you requires space, requires clarity, requires a version of you that no longer tiptoes around dysfunction. You don't owe the past your presence. You don't owe anyone your energy who treated it like it was disposable. Forgiveness is not access. Healing is not attachment. Peace doesn't require permission. You've done the work. You've peeled back the layers. You've faced the shadows. Now it's time to walk fully in your power, without apology, without explanation, without hesitation. Because when you finally stop dimming, you ignite something unshakable, something that no lie, no envy, no curse can undo. That is the version of you the world has been waiting for. And now that you've awakened it, protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. This is your moment. Stand in it. Burn in it. Rise in it. Stay in it. You didn't rise from everything you've endured just to live small, second-guess yourself, or play safe with your destiny. You were not shaped by fire only to bow before fear. The pressure you felt wasn't meant to break you. It was designed to stretch you beyond who you thought you were, into who you truly are. Every time you felt unseen, unappreciated, or misunderstood, it was the world's way of sharpening your awareness. Every rejection, every setback, every delay was carving something deeper into your character. Not punishment, preparation, not loss, alignment. You're not behind. You're being positioned. And when the moment arrives, you'll be ready in ways you never imagined. The greatest shift happens the moment you stop begging life to go easier and instead decide to become stronger. When you stop waiting for permission to be powerful and instead embrace that you've already been chosen. The power was never out there. It was always in you, buried under layers of doubt, fear, and conditioning that never belonged to you in the first place. What's real doesn't need to be proven. It needs to be remembered. And now is the time to remember who you are without the noise, without the mask, without the pressure to please anyone who would rather you stay small to feel safe. You don't rise by pleasing the world. You rise by being unapologetically true to your vision, even if it scares people who don't see what you see. You weren't built for comfort zones. You weren't born to repeat patterns. You're here to shift atmospheres, to break cycles, to carry a frequency that disrupts anything that is fake, forced, or built on fear. That kind of energy is rare. It's sacred. And yes, it will threaten those who benefit from your silence, your compliance, your exhaustion. But your life is no longer a negotiation. Your energy is no longer for sale. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be real. And real power doesn't perform. It radiates. Let go of what no longer resonates. Release what drains your soul. You're not abandoning anything by choosing yourself. You're honoring the truth that has been buried beneath your survival for too long. You were never meant to settle. You were never meant to conform. You are wired to evolve, to expand, to rise relentlessly, even if it means outgrowing everything you thought was safe. That's not failure. That's growth. That's what alignment feels like. It's not always comfortable, but it's always necessary. There's no going back now. You've seen too much, felt too deeply, grown too far. You can't fit yourself back into the box you broke free from, and you shouldn't try. The world needs the version of you that refuses to pretend, that refuses to shrink, that refuses to abandon purpose for acceptance. This is the season of ownership, of clarity, of complete internal alignment. Walk forward with the full weight of who you are. Let every step echo with the power of a soul that finally remembers its worth. You don't owe the world a version of yourself that is palatable. You don't owe comfort to anyone who's uncomfortable with your growth. You are not responsible for shrinking so others can feel tall beside you. Your presence is not a disruption. It's a reminder of what power looks like when it is no longer diluted by fear, a reminder of what clarity feels like when you're no longer asking for direction from people who are lost in their own confusion. This is your time to stand rooted, not in ego, but in truth, in the kind of unshakable truth that no opinion, no rejection, no external storm can penetrate. You are not here to fit. You are here to free your voice, free your vision, free the future version of you that has waited silently behind layers of guilt, people-pleasing, and emotional survival. You do not need to apologize for evolving. You do not need to explain the shifts within you. You are allowed to become more. You are allowed to move differently, speak differently, live differently than you once did. Growth is not betrayal. It is sacred obedience to your own expansion. And if that triggers people, let it. If that costs you connections, let them go. You are not abandoning them. You are choosing you. The most dangerous thing you can do is wait for permission to rise. Because while you wait, your light dims. While you hesitate, your time slips. While you overthink, your opportunity passes. You were never meant to second-guess the very force that woke you up this morning. The power that beats your heart is the same power that's trying to pull you into alignment. If only you'd stop resisting. If only you'd stop waiting for everything to make sense before you move. You don't need full clarity to take the next step. You need courage, and that courage is already inside you, buried beneath the rubble of who you were told to be. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to feel perfect. You just have to move. Because the longer you wait to become the version of you that's calling, the louder the regret will echo in your spirit. You didn't come this far to keep circling old pain. You came to turn pain into power, to turn resistance into resilience, to turn wounds into wisdom. There is fire in you that cannot be extinguished by failure, by doubt, by disappointment. Let that fire lead. Let that fire speak. Let that fire rise through your bones like thunder-breaking silence. You are not becoming. You already are. You are not preparing. You're activating. This is not about trying harder. This is about remembering deeper. The strength is already there. The light is already there. You just have to stop pretending you don't see it. You just have to stop waiting for proof and start walking like it's already done. Because it is. And it always has been.